reading for today is from the 7th chapter of Mark, beginning in the 24th verse. And Jesus arose and went away to the region of Tyre and Sidon. And he entered a house and would not have anyone know it, yet he could not be hidden. But immediately a woman whose little daughter was possessed by an unclean spirit heard of him and came and fell down at his feet. Now the woman was a Greek, a Syro-Phoenician by birth, and she begged him to cast the demon out of her daughter. And he said to her, "Let the children first be fed, for it is not right to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs." But she answered him, "Yes, Lord, yet even the dogs under the table eat the children's crumbs." And Jesus said to her, "For this saying you may go your way. The demon has left your daughter." And she went home and found the child lying in bed, and the demon was gone. Then Jesus returned from the region of Tyre and went through Sidon to the Sea of Galilee, to the region of the Decapolis. And they brought to him a man who was deaf and had an impediment in his speech, and they besought him to lay his hand upon him. And taking him aside from the multitude privately, Jesus put his fingers into his ears, and he spat and touched his tongue, and looked up to heaven. He sighed and said to him, "Ephphatha," that is, "be opened." And his ears were opened, his tongue was released, and he spoke plainly. And he charged them to tell no one. But the more he charged them, the more zealously they proclaimed it. And they were astonished beyond measure, saying, "He has done all things well. He even makes the deaf hear and the dumb speak." The gospel of our Lord.
Thanks be to God.
You may be seated. Do we have any children that want to come forward for a children? I love you. I love you. Hi, kids. Every year this gets harder and harder. Hey, Renly. Hi. Well, hi. Here comes one more. She's got to be ready to run, Grandma. Yeah, I'm with you. Okay, so how many of you are in school? You're in school. You're in school. Daycare counts. There you go. Okay, so daycare? What grade? What grade are you in? What's that? First grade? What grade? 4K. Kindergarten? 4K. So how long have you been back for a whole week?
No.
Not quite a whole week? What is something you're already learning in school? Like maybe if you want to speak, you have to raise your hand. Is that something you're learning? Is that a rule?
Yeah.
What's that? You're learning that. Do you like to talk a lot in school? Oh, I did too. You're so quiet here, though. What else is something you're learning in school? You got to be learning something. You've been there a couple days. You're learning your teacher's name? Subtracting already? Wow. Are you learning subtracting?
No.
Not quite yet. Are you learning a teacher's name? You don't know your teacher's names?
I know mine.
What's your teacher's name? Okay. Miss Kathy.
Who's your real teacher? Miss Kathy. Miss Moon.
Is that Kathy's last name? Moon?
No.
No? Oh, he's got two teachers. Are you learning maybe where you're supposed to sit? Or whether you're supposed to run around or sit? Are you learning these things? You do?
I sit on the letter O.
Do you? That's a good spot. That's a very good spot. Okay, well, today starts Sunday school.
Sunday school?
Sunday school! Who's teaching today? Miss Diane is. That's going to be your teacher, Miss Diane. Is that what they're supposed to call you, or Mrs.
Yes.
Miss
We
O'Neill?
decided Miss Diane, Mrs. Dawn,
And Miss Judy. Okay.
We
They're
had a big meeting about it.
They are very, very good teachers. You're going to love, especially Miss Diane, because she usually brings treats. That's an important lesson to learn. Which teacher brings treats? Sneaking up behind. You're not supposed to do that in school? No. Okay. So if we're going to learn Sunday school today too, what if Jesus was going to be your teacher? What is something you think you might learn if Jesus was your teacher?
Giving cheese.
Ha! Taste and see that the Lord is good. Yes, Jesus would probably give treats. What else might Jesus teach? Do you think Jesus would say, go up to the person next? Oh, go ahead, Ray, you got your hand.
Subtracting.
You think Jesus would teach subtracting? I think he would teach adding. Let's see if we can add more. Do you think he would teach punch your neighbor?
No.
Look at that. Look at how smart you are. Do you think Jesus would say, steal the treats from the teacher? No. Man, you guys are really, really smart. Well, from the lesson that Judy just read to us, I'm going to share a very important lesson that Jesus taught about addition. And the adults will hear that in a minute, but I just wanted to say I am so glad to see you today, and that you came up for a children's sermon, and that you are going to be part of a Sunday school here. And we are just so happy to have you, because you are a gift and a blessing to us. So you can go back to your seats now, and thanks for coming up. Gotta love them, don't you? Makes my day. So Judy shared with us a reading out of the Gospel of Mark. Mark was the first gospel written. Nobody asked my opinion, and I don't know why. I don't know what the logic was of the group of people who actually put the books of the Bible together, and why they did Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and John. I don't know why that is that way, because Mark is the first gospel that was written. Mark is also the shortest gospel, especially when you take off the ending that was added centuries later. In fact, some of you may actually have Bibles that say at the end of Mark, this section was added much later. Apparently, some folks were uncomfortable with a gospel that did not report any real Jesus sightings after the resurrection. All we had in Mark originally was an empty tomb. So, if the first gospel and the shortest gospel ended at chapter 16, today's reading would be the midway point. And in Mark's gospel, things take a huge change from this place forward. Now, back in Mark chapter 6, we're in chapter 7 today, but in Mark chapter 6, Jesus performed a miracle of feeding 5,000 men. If we would include the women and the children, who I'm assuming got to eat as well, we'd be more like 15 to 30,000 people Jesus fed. And there were more leftovers than there were to begin with. Now listen carefully. The miracle of the feeding of the 5,000 plus women and children, it happened for the Jewish followers of Jesus, who was also Jewish. Okay, pay attention to that. The feeding of the 5,000 plus was for the Jewish followers of a Jewish Jesus. Now, I don't know if I'm using this gospel next week, but the next gospel will be out of Mark 8, chapter 8. And in Mark chapter 8, there's a story about a miraculous feeding of the 4,000. Now, this may seem like a really weird repeat of the story of the feeding of the 5,000. Like maybe the scribe who was copying this gospel fell asleep and forgot where he left off. But no. Today's reading in Mark 7, everything turns around. And today's embarrassing story is the starting point. Now let me back up and explain a little bit. So Jesus had been teaching and preaching and healing and performing miracles left and right. Mark had to cram a whole lot of Jesus' business into 16 short chapters. So Jesus has been busy, and Jesus is really tired. So Jesus was looking for a place to get away for a little bit, to get away by himself, to get a little rest and a little prayer time with his Father. So Jesus traveled to a non-Jewish territory, the town of Sidon and Tyre. This was a land where Gentiles lived. Okay, now Gentiles are what all non-Jewish people were called. So pretty much everybody here is a Gentile. We don't have any Jewish blood in us. Maybe some of you do, and I'd love to hear that story, but Gentiles lived in Sidon and Tyre. And if Jesus came for the Jewish people, nobody was going to know him there, right? Wrong. A local woman, that is a Gentile woman, famously known in our Bibles as the Syrophoenician woman. Isn't that a fun word to say? Syrophoenician. Syrophoenician woman. Well, this Syrophoenician woman had a daughter with an unclean spirit. And she found out Jesus was in town. So she just barged right into the house where Jesus was staying. I mean, barged. No knocking, no calling, just bam! And in she walked and fell at Jesus' feet and begged him to heal her daughter. Now, this is the embarrassing part. Jesus, in essence, calls this Syrophoenician woman a dog. He said, "Let the children be fed first," meaning the children of God, the Jewish people. It is not fair to take the children's bread and give it to the dogs. Ouch, Jesus! What was that all about? Maybe Jesus was really, really tired and a wee bit cranky. I mean, he was fully human after all. Or was he just playing with her? We can't tell because you can't hear the tone in the printed word. I'm sure that's happened to you with a text. We don't know what was going on in this embarrassing story. But what we do know, as this Syrophoenician mother, her determination to save her possessed daughter impressed Jesus enough that he did indeed heal the daughter from afar. This is it. Jesus healed his first Gentile. That's what's going on in this story. Jesus healed someone other than a Jew. Do you get what a huge deal this is? But the miracle doesn't end with the Syrophoenician woman. No. Immediately following her story comes another man, a Gentile, a man from the city called Decapolis who was deaf. And Jesus took this man away privately from the crowd and healed him. And he says the word, Ephatha, be opened. Be open. And there it is. In this huge turning point in Mark's gospel, where Jesus no longer came just for the Jewish people, but for all people, Jews and Gentiles alike. And both people had to be open to that. Oh, do you get what a big deal this is? This is the overflowing, abundant love of God that shows no boundaries. The Jewish people thought that Jesus came to save them from the Roman occupation. At this point in Mark's gospel, we realize that's not why Jesus came. No, not at all. He came for all of us. All of us. To heal us, to include us, to feed us. Ephatha, be open to that. Be open. Be open to the many ways that God works in abundant and generous ways with all of us. Not just the people that look like you or that you like or that you think are worthy of healing, hope, and hospitality. Be open to how God is working in you, around you, and beyond you. And be committed, like that Syrophoenician woman who pursued Jesus and the changes that he could offer her with a passionate determination. She welcomed the transformation that was about to happen for her and her daughter. Barge down his door. Be committed to the transformed life that he offers. May it be so for you